All right, let's go ahead and start recording lesson 3-2 from yesterday. If you have questions, make sure that you either shout them out or raise your hand or put them in the chat. 3 options, but ask those questions. Because as you have noticed, I do make mistakes also. So your question might be showing a mistake that I have made. You'll notice on numbers 18 and 19, I underlined some words. Those are some words that help me know what part of the number it is they're looking for in my answer. Because number 19, they try and get you, or was it 19? No, number 18, they try and trick you. They tried to trick you. So if you had an answer of 21, you told us how many horses are white, but it's asking how many are not white. All right, so how are we doing? Any questions on this page?
Can you move the page down a little bit? We can't see the last answer.
Yeah. All right, I don't see any questions in the chat. I don't see any hands up. And I don't hear anybody, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip over to the back side. If you didn't get a chance to finish correcting, I will be posting the answers into Otis as well as the video, so you can always go back and watch the video. Hopefully you remembered what multipliers and divisors are. Oh, and then like 6 and 7, they also tried to get tricky on also. By throwing in that whole number along with the decimal point. But for 6 and 7, it's just a matter of remembering. If I'm talking about the thousandths, I have 3 numbers after the decimal. So I'm going to take those last 3 numbers, and those are the parts that are after the decimal. Everything else would be a whole number. All right, any questions on this side? Do you need more time, or did you get it all done?
I need a little more time.
Okay. Oh, also you might have noticed when I wrote my equations here, I made the number and the variable just touch each other. If there's no sign in between a variable and a number, that means you multiply. So that 3j means the same as 3 times j. 1/4 j means 1/4 times j. So again, another way they're getting fancier as you're getting older, if they're just touching, that means that you're supposed to be multiplying them.
I'm done.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, let's set our homework books aside and take a look at lesson 3.3 in our student activity books. This is on page 73, lesson 3.3 on 73. All right, we are going to continue with this idea of multiplying a whole number times a fraction. And they're giving us this equation right here, 1 over d times w. What do you think the d stands for?
A fraction.
No. What does the d stand for? What do we call that number on the bottom of a fraction?
Denominator.
Denominator. So 1 over a denominator, so they're telling us it's a unit fraction, times, what do you think the w stands for?
It's a variable.
What do we call it when it's just a number, just like a 3 or a 5 or a 7? What do we call that kind of number? It's not a fraction, it's not a decimal.
A factor.
Whole number.
Whole number, yes, I heard somebody shout it out. So 1 over a denominator, so we have a unit fraction times a whole number, okay? That's what we're gonna practice today, a unit fraction times a whole number. And I'm gonna tell you guys, this is gonna be so simple compared to yesterday. So simple, you're gonna love this. So let's read through this problem. Farmer Diaz has 3 acres of land. Here's his 3 acres of land. He plows 1/5 of this land. The number of acres he plows is 1/5 of 3. What does of mean?
Times or multiply.
Times. Of means multiply. Yes. Wherever we see of, it means we're multiplying. 1/5 of 3, or 1/5 times 3. So you can see that he had his 3 acres, right? There's 1 acre there, 2 acres, 3 acres. And then they took those 3 acres and they divided them into fifths. So going this way, they divided it into 5 sections. And he mowed 1/5 of his land. That's what the green up top is colored in. So, let me let our friend in the meeting here. So, diagram at the right shows Farmer Diaz's land divided vertically into 3 acres. The dashed horizontal segments divide the land into 5 parts. The shaded strip is 1/5 of Farmer Diaz's plowed land. Okay. The drawing shows that taking 1/5 of the 3 acres is the same as taking 1/5 of each acre, right? I took 1/5 of this acre, 1/5 of this acre, and 1/5 of this acre. And then we combine them. So we can show it a couple different ways we can write it. You guys remember we talked about decomposing when we were talking about our fractions earlier in the year? Here they're doing some decomposing to show you ways to solve this problem. 1/5 times 3 is the same as 1/5 times, see how there's no symbol in between the 1/5 and the parentheses? That means we're multiplying them. But 1/5 times 1 plus 1 plus 1. We took our 3 and we decomposed. We broke it down into 1 plus 1 plus 1. Now we're going to use our distributive property, which we learned about a couple weeks ago. So now we have 1/5 times 1 plus 1/5 times 1 plus 1/5 times 1. That gave us these 3 parts right here. Well, what's 1/5 times 1?
Wow.
1, right? Anything times 1 is itself. 1/5 times 1 is 1/5. So 1/5 times 1 is 1/5. 1/5 times 1 is 1/5. 1/5 times 1 is 1/5. If I add those 3 1/5s together, 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5, I get
3/5.
3/5.
3/5. Okay? I want you guys to keep following along with me because I'm going to get you to a point where I'm going to show you a shortcut. But only if you follow along with me now. All right. So 1/5 of the 3 acres of land is 3/5 acre. He mowed 3/5 of his land. Okay. Farmer Smith has 4 acres of land. You see the 4 acres right here?
Yes.
She plows 1/3 of her land. So we need to divide these horizontally into thirds. Go ahead and do that on yours. And she's plowing 1/3 of her land. So how many of these thirds are we going to shade in?
One.
Just one, right? All the way across the top. Okay. Now it tells us to express 1/3 times 4 as a sum of unit fractions. We've got some good vocab words in here. What does sum mean?
The total.
Product.
Sum is not a product. It is a total, but it's a total for what kind of problems?
Addition.
Multiplication.
Addition. Sum is addition. Since some of you are saying multiplication, what do we call the answer to a multiplication problem?
Product.
A product, yes. If it's addition, it's sum. If it's multiplication, it's product. Okay? So we want to do 1/3 times 4 as a sum of unit fractions. Well, what's my unit fraction I'm going to be using here?
1/3.
1/3
Yes, what makes 1/3 a unit fraction?
as 1 of third. So 1
Above the 3.
uni means 1.
Yes, I heard it. I would like to hear it in a little bit more of a fancy math talk saying, well, because the numerator is a number 1. And since the numerator is a 1, that makes it a unit fraction. Okay? But that's okay. I heard that the number on top is 1. That's what I was looking for. So express 1/3 times 4 as a sum of unit fractions. 1/3 plus 1/3. How many times am I going to add this together?
4 times.
4 times, because multiplication is just repeated addition. You guys remember that from 2nd and 3rd grade? Multiplication is just repeated addition. So what area does Farmer Smith plow?
4/3.
4/3, yes. But we don't like the way 4/3 looks. How do we change that?
1 and 1/3.
1/3 acre. Yep. Okay. Farmer Hanson plows 1/7 of his 2 acres of land. What area does he plow? What do you guys think?
2/7.
Was that you, Hazel? How'd you get 2/7?
I added the 1/7 and another 1/7.
Yeah, awesome. So we have 1/7 of 2. 1/7 of 2, which is the same as 1/7 times 2. Which, if we want to write that as a sum of unit fractions, is 1/7 plus 1/7. Well, going back to our fractions, we just add the numerators. 1 plus 1 is 2. We keep the same denominator. 2/7 acres. How about the last one? Olga walks 9 blocks to school. Her friend Louis walks only 1/5 of that distance. How many blocks does Louis walk to school? So we're figuring out 1/5 of 9, or 1/5 times 9. Anybody have an idea?
9/5.
9/5.
9/5. Morgan, I think I heard you first. How'd you get 9/5?
I just multiplied 1 times 9.
Oh, why did you do that?
Because the numerator is 1.
Because the numerator is 1, right? And like we talked about yesterday, if I have a whole number, I can just put that whole number over 1. Multiply my numerators, multiply my denominators. 9 times 1 is 9. 5 times 1 is 5. Does that work for the other problems we've done too?
Yes.
Right? If I put my 2 over 1, 2 times 1 is 2. 7 times 1 is 7. So I'm just multiplying that whole number times my numerator, and I'm keeping my same denominator. because my denominator is going to be times 1. 9/5. We don't like the way 9/5 looks. We need to change that. What are we going to change it to?
1/4.
1 and
1/4.
1 and 4/5 blocks, right? Don't forget our labels. We need to know what it is we're talking about. All right, let's keep going. Let's look at the other side. Which one of these kids doesn't belong? 1/4 of 3, 1/4 times 3, 4 times 1/3. Anyone? Does that one belong?
No.
No.
It's got a whole different fraction.
Oh,
1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. Does that belong?
Yes.
yeah.
3 times 1/4. Does that belong?
Yes.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. All right. So these last few problems, they're giving us number lines to help us solve the problems. Here's how we would use the number line. I have 1/7 times 2. So I'm going to want to circle 1/7 here and 1/7 here. Because here's 1/7, and then in my second hole, I want 1/7 of that whole number also. So what's 1/7 times 2?
2 7.
2 7.
Well, 2 of them. Or remember, 2 times 1 is 2 over 7. Keep my same denominator. 3/7 times 2. So I'm going to circle 3 between 0 and 1 and 3 between 1 and 2. Okay, I can count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or I could say, okay, 3 times 2 is 6, 7 times 1 is 7, 6/7. You guys need to know how to do the number lines also, okay? Because those always pop up on tests. 1/5 times 3. So I'm going to circle 1/5 3 times. I'm going to circle 1/5 there, 1/5 there, and 1/5 there. What did I circle? How many fifths?
3/5.
3/5.
Fifths, yes. You guys, oh, let's do part B here real quick. 4/5 times 3. Yikes. 4/5 and 4/5 and 4/5. I'm going to put that over 1. What's 3 times 4?
12/5.
12/5.
12/5.
5 times 1 is 5, which is the same as
2 and 2
2 1 2 5.
2 and 2/5. Yes. You guys do 9 and 10. I'm going to move my book away. I'm going to do them, and then we'll compare our answers. Please, please, please make sure you are remembering to circle on the number line. Do not just do the computations.
Alam mo kung ano yan, pagkakapon, dumadaan ng sa 18 o 89, may nagtapon sa kotse. Dumiretso sa, ano lang,
You guys doing okay?
Yeah.
A lot of circling on the last two.
I don't get how you do this.
What part, Jackson?
Like, how do you know which ones you have to circle?
Well, because it's telling me like 1/6. So I'm going to circle 1/6. And it's telling me I need to do that 4 times. So I'm going to circle 1/6 in that hole, 1/6 from that hole, 1/6 from that hole, and 1/6 from that hole.
Oh.
Okay.
Now-
And then the next one says 5/6 times 4. So I'm going to circle 5/6 4 times. Okay, how'd we do when we compare our work?
Good.
Any questions on these? All right, I will take your silence as no questions. Let's take a look at the homework pages for today. Homework, of course, they love to throw some word problems in there. Campers in each cabin at Bear Claw Camp held a contest to see who could walk the farthest in one day. Use the signs to answer the questions. Write your answer as fractions. Oh, so that's good. So you don't have to change it to a mixed number. You could just leave it as a fraction greater than 1. So let's do this first one together. The campers in cabin A walked 1/4 of the way to Otter Ridge. Well, Otter Ridge is 13 miles. So they walked 1/4 of 13 miles. 1/4 of 13 miles. So I need to change that, right? I need to multiply it. I can put my 13 over 1. 13 times 1 is 13. 4 times 1 is 4. They walked 13/4 of a mile. I will say, actually, now that I look at kind of and skim through these, it might make it easier when you get to number 5 if you do change it to a mixed number, because all of these have different denominators. So looking at it as a mixed number might help you. So 13/4 is the same as 3 1/4 miles. Okay, so you're looking for the fraction 2/3 to Silver Stream. Silver Stream is 8. 2/3 times 8 is my problem for that one. Okay, down below we've got another number line, 2/3 of 4 on the number line. Write it as a fraction, write it as a mixed number, and then just some straight up multiplying practice at the bottom. Again, multiply your numerators, multiply your denominators. 4 times 2 is 8, 7 times 1 is 7. Write your answers as fractions, so don't worry about changing them to mixed numbers. You can leave it as a fraction greater than 1. On the back side, we have review. We're comparing some fractions, comparing decimals, multiplying some more fractions, and then your favorite of all, stretch your thinking. Let's pull out those planners. Those of you who come to me from Mr. Baker's class, I know that he is assigning to, I think it's the kiddos in Mrs. Lopez's class, the Think Central lessons that go along with these, because she's having them do Think Central, not the paper version. I want you guys doing the paper version. Okay, so for the homework, I want you doing the paper one. If he tells you you need to do the paper and the Think Central, then guess what? Then you get to do both. But for me, I like you to have the paper version done. So we are doing math, homework and remembering, page 51 to 52. Oh, somebody didn't like what I just told them to do. And then we have, well, let's just go 10 minutes of iReady math today. 10 minutes, iReady math. Okay, make sure you take your break at 10 and you come back to me at 10:20. Break 10, back 10:20. I will go ahead and stay online